All right, today we're diving into the incredible mystery of a global music icon who basically just vanished right into her own magnificent castle. We are, of course, talking about the one and only Enya.
So, let's really think about this for a second. What does a superstar who has literally sold more records than One Direction do all day? You're not going to see her on talk shows, right? No red carpets, definitely no Instagram selfies. So, what does the daily life of a musical phantom actually look like?
Okay, first up, a best-selling ghost, the Phantom of the charts. Her success is just on a scale that's kind of hard to wrap your head around, especially when you realize she's almost completely invisible to the public. And that is the paradox that has had the music industry scratching its head for decades.
Okay, let's just start with this number. 80 million. That is how many albums she has sold worldwide. Just let that sink in for a second. That is an absolutely colossal figure. And to give you some perspective on that, her sales completely eclipse the entire discography of One Direction, one of the biggest boy bands in the history of the world. So yeah, this isn't just success. This is a full-on music dynasty, and it was all built on a whisper.
This quote just captures the whole Enya enigma perfectly. An industry insider once said, "Throughout the music business, there's no one else who is so successful about whom so little is known." And that's it, right? She's a total anomaly, a ghost in the machine who just so happens to be one of its most profitable artists ever.
So that brings us to our next section, the castle and the keep, building a private kingdom. Because where else does a ghost live? Well, in a castle, obviously. Her home is the absolute core of her private world, a fortress she has very, very carefully built for herself.
So get this, she bought Manderley Castle way back in 1997 for a cool $4.3 million. And that just goes to show you, this whole desire for a secluded life wasn't some recent thing. Nope, she was investing in her privacy right from the get-go.
And wow, did that turn out to be a good investment. The castle itself is this amazing piece of history, built to commemorate Queen Victoria's accession to the throne. So it's not just a house, it's a statement. It's a real-life fairy tale fortress.
And listen, she didn't just buy a castle, she fortified it. I'm talking about adding 4 feet to the stone walls, putting up surveillance cameras everywhere, and even installing a dedicated safe room. This is way beyond just keeping out nosy neighbors. This is about creating a sanctuary that is absolutely impenetrable.
But, there's a really serious reason for all of this. The high walls, the security, they're not just for show. She's had to deal with some really terrifying stuff, including stalkers and a break-in where thieves actually tied up her housekeeper. So her privacy, it's rooted in a very, very real need for safety.
But inside those walls, it's not a prison at all. It's her paradise. She once said her favorite room is her bedroom, where she opens the shutters to this incredible panoramic view of the Irish Sea. As she put it, I open those shutters, and the sea, it's different every day. It's very inspiring to me. So you see, this isn't isolation, it's inspiration.
Okay, next up, her 12 companions, the royal court. So who exactly makes up the royal court of Manderley Castle? Who gets to share this unbelievably private world with the queen of New Age music? So who does share this magnificent, fortified castle? Is it family, a secret lover, a staff of hundreds? Who are the lucky few who get to walk these hallowed and very heavily surveilled halls?
Well, the answer is 12. She shares her life and her home with exactly a dozen companions. That's right, her royal court is feline. The sole occupants of this entire enormous castle are Enya and her 12 cats. And let's be honest, for a lot of us, that sounds like the absolute dream, right? So, let's explore this. Why she disappeared, in her own words. Why choose this life? Why pick cats over colleagues and solitude over the spotlight? Well, the good thing is, we don't really have to guess. In the rare interviews she's given, she's actually been pretty open about it. It really all comes down to self-acceptance. In her words, I have always been shy. In former times, I wasn't happy with that. But today I accept it and live my life after it. See? She's not hiding from the world because she's miserable. She's just embraced who she is and built a life that actually honors it, instead of trying to fight it.
And this gives us such a vulnerable but really powerful insight into the pressures of fame. She said, "I'm afraid of marriage because I'm afraid someone might want me because of who I am instead of because they loved me."
I mean, that's just a heartbreakingly honest look at the reality for a lot of people in her position.
But here's the thing. Even her own family doesn't see it as some sad story. Her uncle's description is just perfect. He said, "We don't see much of her. She lives like a queen. She is a recluse. It's not a pitiable existence at all. It's a regal one."
Which brings us to our final section, the Queen's Prerogative, a Life by Design. So let's bring this all home. This is not the story of some lonely woman. This is the story of a life lived completely, 100% on her own terms, a life by design. And you know what? This quote from an associate just says it all. Generally, she prefers pets to people, yes, but that's her call. And why not? That is totally her call. She has earned the right to make that choice 1,000 times over.
So let's just reframe this whole thing. She is not a lonely woman trapped in a castle. No way. She's a quiet queen who has built her own perfect universe, just for her.
And maybe that's the ultimate takeaway here. In a world that demands constant access, where we're all oversharing all the time, maybe the greatest luxury you can possibly have is privacy. She hasn't disappeared. She's just achieved something most of us have forgotten is even possible.